is it all together one word, or? I'm trying to find it right now. Let me see. It's LASER 2.
LEATHER.
Okay. I don't even see. I don't know why it's not popping up. Hold on, baby.
Well, it's showing up over on my side, but of course I'm set up with it, so. But that's all right. This will be recorded through, so even if they don't view it immediately, I know there's some that I kind of pass on some good information on these UVs.
Well, I was seeing if I could find a see if I could find it. Can you email me the link?
Yeah.
Email me the link, and I'll share it. I'll share it to the group on Facebook. The Gladiator strawberry smoothie, I guess, sweetheart. The biggest one I got.
Let's see. I'll send it over to your messenger.
All right, let me see here.
Go ahead and work on.
Let's see. Don't count in. There we go. Should be it. Let me see if I can share it. Share. Copy. Let me see. All right, let's see what happens here.
So, how familiar are you with the UV systems? I mean, have you ever seen how the board and everything on them?
I have not.
Well, one of the things that's kind of throws a lot of people off on the UV is unlike your fiber and your CO2, you don't have any control over your power. So what you have to do is use your speed, your frequency, and more of anything else, the lines per inch are your LPI to get the darkness that you want.
Gotcha. So your power is a constant.
Yeah, your power always stays the same.
Okay.
The Q pulse, I don't use it a lot, but some people do. But it ranges from 1 to 3 most of the time.
Okay.
And that's actually for what it does is, on your frequency, the frequency is counting your top end spikes. If you're looking at an oscilloscope,
Gotcha.
The Q pulse is actually the bottom end, and it's the length of time that the laser is actually pulsing. So you have the number of pulses and then the length of time that it's pulsing.
Okay.
That's where that Q pulse comes in.
Gotcha.
But so I'll give you a good example. You know how hard that white material is, or at least for me, to run on a CO2. It gets you get a lot of char and everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's my camera here. So this is actually, I haven't touched it. No cleanup, no wipe down or nothing.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that saying too.
Yeah. And I'll run a back one on there.
Yeah, run one, and I definitely like to see, because I am once we get in the new shop, I definitely want to get one.
This is one of those things where you want to kind of sneak up on it. The thing about a galvo laser is the way it scans back and forth. I use a crosshatch. So the first is kind of like a dirty pass. You're going to have lines and stuff like that. And then on the crosshatch, it's going to clean up. Well, if you're running too much of a high power on the first run, especially with the multiple color leatherette where you have the silver in the background or whatever, you can burn through if you're not careful.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think everybody
when I'm at a show, when I'm at a show, I don't have pre-made patches. Anybody that, they'll come to me, hey, I want this on my hat or whatever, and I'm literally running it right then.
And that's a good thing about. I guess that's a good thing about a UV. It cleans up really nice, and it's pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, it is just relatively quick, and it cuts out nice. I think after this one, I'll put a actual sheet of leather on it, and literally you can run it, take a tissue paper, and wipe over it, and not get anything on the tissue paper.
Oh wow!
Even on your cut edge.
How do you have your exhaust set up?
Right now, I don't. The reality is that it burns so clean. I mean, there is some smoke. Don't misunderstand me. You really don't need it, especially when I've got the back door open and stuff like that, and I'm running outside.
Yeah.
You really don't have to have it. Now, the funny thing about it is a majority of my shows is actually at hog bays. And I don't know if you're familiar with what a hog bay is, but it's basically a competition where the dogs are cornering a hog.
Okay.
and make them stay in one place.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
like a herding competition, just for
Yeah.
hogs.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Those are some stinking son of a guns. But you would be amazed how many people will sit there and walk by the trailer and say, I smell hair burning.
That's hilarious because they're smelling the leather.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got a hog pen that's not even 50 yards away from me that you can smell, but they'll smell that little bit of that leather smoke.
That's hilarious. Yeah, hogs stink.
Oh man. But I do have I went and bought a exhaust system. It's an 8-inch exhaust with a charcoal filter and everything. That's what I'm going to use in the trailer for this show.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. You're kind of slowly taking off the top layer, but you can still see some white on there, and then that second layer is cleaning all that white residue off and just making for a nice dark engrave.
Right.
And what wattage is this laser?
This is a 5-watt.
Okay.
So the 5-watt laser systems are air cooled.
Okay.
Whereas when you get to the 10 and the 15 watts, they're water cooled.
Gotcha.
So the nice thing about this is I don't have to worry about having a water pump. And unlike a fiber machine, I can actually unplug the cords and everything and have in 2 separate pieces.
Oh, okay.
So it's easy to move around. With a fiber machine, you got the cable and all of that back there, and you have to move everything all at once. This I don't.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to get one. Pretty bad. So is that the gloss white or is that the flat white?
I'm sorry, what was that? I didn't hear you.
Is that the gloss white or the flat white?
I believe this is the flat white. This is one of your original whites that you had. Using some of the old stock that I've got right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's put a regular piece of leather on it. I want you, and this isn't thin stuff. This is some thick leather.
Well, and that's a good thing about a UV, right? You can use you can run that on leather, leatherette. From what I heard, it works good on wood, glass. I mean, just about everything. Correct?
It works excellent on wood. I do a lot of inlay and stuff with wood.
Okay.
And it's beautiful on wood.
What about, so they make what, a 5-watt and a 10-watt? Does it go any higher?
Yeah, Hao Tian has a 5-watt, 10-watt, and a 15-watt.
15-watt. Okay, I got you.
And so with this one here, I have a 200 millimeter lens on.
Okay.
And with with that 200 millimeter lens, I am able to run just a little over an 8-inch square. So I'm able to run 6 patches at a time.
That's pretty awesome.
And the fact is, you knock those 6 patches off while you're applying those. You can be running another 6 patches, and pretty much you're going to be running all the time.
That definitely speeds the process up.
So let's see. Let me put some leather on here.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind cutting the leatherette or leather out on my Trotec and then setting up a jig and placing them on the UV and engraving them all out. See, I didn't know you could change the power on it because I've only dealt with just a CO2 and a RF laser.
Yeah, and it threw me off at first, not being able to adjust the power. But once you learn how to use the DPI and everything on here, then you can do just about everything that you could before. So on the leather, you actually have to
you have to what? You cut out there for a second.
On the leather. Yeah, I was getting on the leather, you want to kind of jump your DPI up.
Oh,
so the lines per inch are DPI.
Yeah.
On normal leather, what I'll do is I can leave it about 1500 in the speed, but I'll jump this up to about 1300, and that's going to darken that leather up.
And no cleanup.
No cleanup. None.
That's all. And I like that it works with light burn. That's pretty cool because I'm very familiar with light burn.
Well, you know, a lot of people use the different graphic software and stuff. I got to where, because when I was running these shows, you know, I'd have somebody bring me an image on the phone or whatever and say, hey, I want you to do this for me and everything. It kind of forced me to get to where I could use Lightburn for everything. And very seldom do I take anything over into PDF or over into Adobe or any of those. I can't use Corel for the life of me, but
I don't, honestly, I don't even think I've ever opened that program before. Yeah, I started with Lightburn on my Nova 24, and that's kind of where went from a Nova 24 and then bought a Trotec Speedy 300, which uses a little different program. It's a program called Ruby, but you're not doing a lot of designing in that software. It's specifically just to send it to the laser. It's a nice program, but I've gotten to where I really like Lightburn, and Lightburn does a really good job of updating their software and incorporating new things, and it makes it extremely nice.
It does. And, you know, they've put a lot of work into it. Now, there's some things I wish they would add to it. Spell checking is one of them.
Yeah.
I am terrible with spell check. And, I really can't understand why you could take all this free software and have spell check in it that they can't do a plug-in that lets you have it in Lightburn.
That's true. As long as they don't have autocorrect in there, because sometimes that autocorrect will get you in a bind.
Oh, that's very true too. Now, I wanted to ask, how did you get into to making the leatherette and this glue and stuff? I mean, what brought you guys to that?
So I was working for the phone company, and I had this idea of just coming out with. I played baseball all my life, wore hats all my life, and I used to go to lids, but back in the day I would kind of hold on, what's going on here? I would kind of customize. There we go. Back here. I would customize my hats, and lasers would just start to come out. Glowforge was real big, but before that, what I wanted to do was like buy a CNC machine, like a small CNC, engrave out some Delrin, and like press it into like wet the leather, press it into the leather, so you could create emboss or deboss and put it on a hat. And I tell you, man, I thought of that in like maybe a month went by, and then I see branded bills, and they're going crazy with it. And I was like, well, there's my opportunity, but I ended up buying a Glowforge. I started engraving patches out, and I thought it was the best thing in the world. Looking back now at my patches that I did when I first started, some of them were okay, but some of them were pretty embarrassing. And I eventually, I was having adhesion issues, and I called around, finally found a manufacturer, and I said, what is going on here? I got one of them DJI, and it's like cutting loose on me. It's weird. But so what I was doing was I used a couple different types of adhesive, and I couldn't find anything that worked. And so what I ended up doing was, contact a manufacturer, told them what I had, and I said, hey, what do you have that would work for my application? and we actually built a really good relationship. I was using them for my hat company that I had, and I decided I just kept seeing on Facebook. It was like every time somebody would post a picture of a hat, there was always 20 questions of how did you get that patch to stick to that hat, and a light bulb went off one day, and I was like, hey, man, I think I've solved people's problems, and we brought it to market, and we named it. I talked to the manufacturer. I said, hey, what would you say if I bought this stuff in bulk and resold it under another name? And he said, before I could even finish the sentence, he said, go for it. And so we did that, and then the leatherette manufacturer actually reached out to us, and it was crazy because at first we were using JDS leatherette. We were putting our adhesive on the back, and we were selling it as that. Just so happened that the leatherette manufacturer reached out to us on actually TikTok and said, hey, we'd like to work with you. And I said, cool, let's see what you got. And we started getting the same stuff that JDS was getting, but a few different colors here and there. And then, that we had started the group, and some people were having some issues with the leatherette separating and stuff like that. And, I reached out to the manufacturer. I said, hey, look, is there anything that we can do about this leatherette to make it stronger? And it took about 2 months, and we finally got it, what I thought was nailed down pretty good. And that was our first version of our premium leatherette. And it was good. The only problem it had was there was still a layer of foam in there. And if leatherette has foam in it, you're always going to have those issues where that patch is going to separate, or the capability of separating. And
right.
So, I reached back out to the manufacturer. I said, hey, look, because like the first couple hundred sheets he sent us, it had the foam on the back. And I said, hey, is there anything we can do, like take the foam off or whatever? And so we ended up flipping the foam to the inside. He's like, well, the back of the patch doesn't look as good without the foam. And I said, I don't care about the back of the patch. You're not even going to see it. And so we finally, we removed all the foam, and we used a really good adhesive for the middle layers. And we ended up calling it premium leatherette, and it's been a great product for us. And so it's so great that other companies are trying to jump on the bandwagon and try to pass their stuff off as premium leatherette.
I noticed that, and that was one of the reasons why I had mentioned, for people to be careful, because a lot of the actual leatherettes and upholsteries, going to the upholstery shop or whatever, has PVC in it, and that stuff will tear a machine up quick. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, it will.
Let's see if I can. So,
golly, what is that, about a 5 to 6 inch?
Yeah, I mean, that's heavyweight.
Yeah, that is heavyweight.
I've got guys that actually like that heavyweight, but what's neat about it is, I mean, there's nothing comes off of it. It's just like you burnish the edges.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a nice clean edge on that thing. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, sweetheart. But yeah, no, that's so we actually, after we come out with our premium leatherette, we actually trademarked the term premium leatherette. So JDS, they trademarked and registered the term laserable leatherette. And when we come out with a better product, we called it premium leatherette. And so I knew that people were going to start trying to, and we've had I've had to reach out to a couple people and say, hey, because they're calling their stuff premium leatherette. And I'm like, hey, are you sourcing that stuff from us and reselling it, or are you sourcing it overseas? And, every time it's been overseas. And I said, hey, it'd probably be best if you take that down, because, we actually have that term trademarked. So, you got to, and especially in this business, you got to protect everything that's yours.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of got into all of this stuff because I'm an electronics geek, and going with what you were saying, I live in this area where we have hogs galore.
Oh yeah.
And I actually built a butter hog trap, if you will, that didn't require a lot of internet connections and all that stuff. It was worked off of text messages, and it was smart enough to know if it was a pig or any other animal. It was smart enough to tell you how many were coming in and all kinds of other stuff. And just like you said, it wasn't long after I came out with that I didn't patent it like I should have.
Yeah.
And yeah, it messed me up. But when I first started doing patches, I was actually buying the Bish's upholstery repair.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I was putting the patches on. Now that stuff was stout, but it would take forever to do it.
Yeah.
And then I started buying. What I was having to do was to double or triple up the hot glue to get the patches to stick. And then somebody had told me about you guys, and I'd ordered the first one up, and man, that stuff was incredible. I couldn't believe how strong it was. As a matter of fact, these hog guys, they're always in the rain. They're messing their hats up. And they told me, man, that stuff ain't going to stay when it needs to be sewed on. And I told the guy, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 100 hats if you can tear that patch off without tearing the hat up.
Yeah.
And he bought 100 hats.
That's hilarious. Well, and that was a thing. So, I would lay in bed at night and sit there and think about, the customers I had just sold hats to when I used the older adhesives and stuff like that. And I was always worried that, somebody was going to call me the next day and tell me that their patch had fallen off their hat. And, that gets expensive, and it also makes me look bad. So, when I finally found a product that worked, it was just one of those aha moments, and it just worked out, and we've been able to kind of capitalize on that and just be able to build better products for everybody. Because for the longest time, JDS was the only ones that really made leatherette. I mean, you could buy some off of Etsy, this and that, but everything was exactly the same. With the acrylic, I actually had a customer, Travis, had reached out to me. He's from California. He said, "Hey, man, your adhesive works with acrylic," and it was awesome what he was doing, but it didn't click. And then one day I had bought some acrylic from JDS, some of their duets, and I tried it out, and we posted in the group, and it worked. And so we ended up, so we never really ordered from JDS. We actually started with the copper Romark acrylic, and we use all of those. We use Romark for all of our acrylics, and they've been able to kind of customize some stuff for us, like the red, white, and blue acrylic. They're working with some tri-layers now with like a stainless on top, then engraves to black, engraves to green, stainless to black to orange. So it's just kind of opening up more possibilities, for different type of hat patches and stuff. So, and then the lower platen for the branding iron, it works amazing on the IQ 360. It's funny. I'd watched a video. I guess it was posted about a year ago, and it was Stalls, and they had there was a video that there was a guy named Skip Davis, and he's they call him like the hat guru or whatever over there in the Stalls group. He's always posting hats, and they look good. It's a lot of like vinyl and flock, and it's real thin material. Not personally my favorite, but it looks good. I mean, he does a really good job with the hats. But it's funny because he had so Josh Ellsworth from Stalls had him on, and they were doing a live together. And And the IQ360 was supposed to kind of solve everybody's issues. And what he was doing, he was actually putting a foam pad under the hat on top of the lower platen to build it up, so you weren't getting those creases on your hat when you put a Richardson hat on there. And right then a light bulb should have went off for stalls. They should have started making lower platens that fit different hats, and they didn't. And I don't know why they didn't, but when we started selling the branding iron about 8 months ago, it was an issue that was brought up to me. And so, I reached out to the manufacturer and I said, hey, what can we do about this? And he said, hey, send me some hats that y'all use, and we'll mold a lower platen that'll fit it. And, we'll go that route. So, and that's where we're at on that lower platen.
That's one of the pauses that I've got with DTF right now, is that on a hat, with direct to film, any crease or any fold in that hat is not going to let that DTF stick right. And I had actually again experimented with DTF before everybody was putting it on hats.
Yeah.
And what I was doing at that time was applying DTF to a leather patch, and then applying the patch to the hat itself.
Gotcha.
And that was the only way that I could consistently get a decent adhesion and everything, and not worry about that stuff filming off.
Yeah.
So this is some of your, let's see which way I need to go. Yeah, that way. Sorry. So this is some of your acrylic with the UV. Now,
I like it.
The UV has a little bit of a trick to it. For whatever reason, the bandwidth or the length of the light waves and stuff, unlike a CO2 where it's going to hit the top of your acrylic all the time, even if you've got it focused out or in, it will actually go into the material, any clear material. And so you can engrave on top, you can engrave inside, and you can actually, on glass and stuff, engrave on the back side of the glass.
Oh, wow.
Just by adjusting the focus on the UV.
Gotcha.
So with the acrylics, it is important to know what your focus length is and everything with the lenses you're using, so that you can hit it right. But you can do some really interesting stuff with the acrylics and everything. It just takes a little bit of, practice and getting in, and I hate to say it, wasting some material, burning some stuff up.
Well, and I'll tell you, I waste material every day. Anytime I'm running that laser, I'm wasting material. I think it's just all part of it. Sometimes, your settings are right. But if you're doing an image that you have never done before and there's a lot of fine detail, you may run it too fast and it may not pick up all that detail. And I'm talking like on a gantry style machine, or it doesn't cut right the first time, and you go to pull the material out and it's not cut, and then you practically waste that whole thing because you're not going to be able to place that leather panel back in there where exactly where it was at. So it happens. It happens to everybody.
I can't tell you the number of times I've been at shows, and what will happen at times, you asked about an exhaust system. I do, whenever I'm running it and stuff, have a fan blowing across to blow the smoke, because on a galvo system, the smoke is coming, straight up.
Yep.
And it will interfere with the beam at times. So when you start cutting, there's times where you'll get a spot that it doesn't cut all the way through.
Gotcha.
And a lot of, I don't know, it's just the area that I'm at. I just have a lot of people who likes veg tan leather. That's what they want. And, it'll cut all the way through except on that very bottom edge. And then if you try to pull it, you have all those hairs.
Yeah.
And, it just doesn't look good. It's not what you want to give a customer,
Exactly. Yeah. Especially right there in front of you. Sometimes you can clean that up if you're at the house, but if you got to do that right in front of the customer, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Cigarette lighters are wonderful.
They are. They're perfect for that.
Uh, so I have I've got your black and gold. I've got your the ones that I have the hardest with is the brown, the kind of like the brown and gold.
Yeah. Oh yeah, rustic to gold.
For whatever reason, I'm gonna run one of those because it actually I don't know if it's the color and the light wave or what it is, but
I wonder. That I'm curious about that too. Yeah, I'm drinking a smoothie. We've been running around like crazy all day, and I ate a little bit of chicken salad for lunch, and I didn't eat a lot today. I need
my supper was a darn microwave pizza. You were talking about the heat.
Yeah.
Our main air conditioner, we got window units, but our main air conditioner in the living room started freezing up on us. So we had to turn it off.
Yeah.
And I'm having to blow air through the house with just 2 small air conditioners. So we decided we weren't going to run a stove.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, and for anybody else that's watching one of these things too, this little thing right here is probably one of the best tools I've ever bought.
You know, I've seen a couple people use that.
I mean, they're cheap. I have cut and I have cut some thick leather with them. But what I'll do is I'll cut my 24-inch panels, lay them out, and then put the glue on the back of them. And then I have my panels in my toolbox.
There you go.
So, I've got my 2 lasers on my toolbox.
Yep. We actually we picked up a clicker press. We actually had it imported from China. It's a 15-ton clicker press, and that's how we click out all of our clicker dies, or our leather, our 12 by 18 panels of leather. And that's a fun machine to run.
Yeah, they're scary machines to run to me.
Well, actually, I had it turned up the wrong way, and so there's a real thick layer of high density polyethylene on top, cutting board material, and I had a clicker die on it, and I blew straight through that clicker die.
Ouch!
Or right through the HDPE. It actually practically exploded. So thankfully, we got a place here in Houston. I was able to go pick up another sheet of it. That was a dumb mistake on my part.
I thought about getting a clicker for doing, because these lasers, almost all of them, that's the one thing about a galvo unit that can be a problem on mass production. Yeah. About the maximum you're going to get on a deck is 12-inch square. And, it's been my experience. I don't move that fast. Some people might be able to move faster than I can, but it's been my experience by the time I get done with the 6 or 8 patches and the machine's running another 6, I'm pretty much just constantly moving. But
yeah, that's what I like. When I was doing a lot of hats, I was using 2 hat presses, and it was nice because I was switching off. So there was never a time that I was sitting there waiting on a hat to pop up to load another hat. It was back and forth, which was really nice. And I felt like it definitely sped that process up.
And you had said that you're working with them as far as getting platens for the Vevers and the other common hat presses as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's the plan. And and it's just something that to me seems so simple. But, there's a problem with single platen presses where they just don't they don't fit the contour of the hat. And so I'm actually talking with a manufacturer now. I'm going to send over a couple of the more popular single platen presses and get and send it over to them and get them to mold a silicone pad that fits on top just like it does on the printing iron.
I use whenever I get set up, like I do a lot of the Richardson 112s. That seems to be what everybody wants. But I do have some ladies hats and stuff with the ponytail hole in the back of them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so they're shaped a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then of course the Katie's, I think it's what they're called. Katie's does a lot of the camos and stuff like that, and they have a different shape. And so what I do, I've got two or three pieces of or two or three different deals of leather that I've built up, and I lay on that platen whenever I get ready to run, so I can just change out. And that's what I've had to do. But I'd actually bought a 3D printer, and I've been thinking about this 3D printer. It's not a normal, it uses resin. So the resin will not melt.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I've been thinking about doing that.
That's one thing I haven't invested in that either. I really want I'm trying to think of the name of it right now. It's made by a company called Nomad. Let me look it up. Nomad 3D CNC, and it's carbide. It's called Carbide 3D Nomad. It's a desktop CNC machine, and it's actually really sweet. It's got a nice spindle on it and everything. And what I'd like to do is make like brass dies and kind of heat emboss patches. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I thought about trying to do that with my fiber laser.
Oh,
so,
really?
You know, Lightburn actually has the offsets and stuff like that to do stamps. You know, it's rubber stamps.
Yeah.
Well, the same process for the rubber stamps is the same thing as what you would do for the metal stamps.
That's true.
Because you're offsetting and ramping your outside cut.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, running on brass or whatever, it'd probably take longer. It'd definitely take longer than using a CNC machine.
Yeah.
But I had thought about it because I do my jewelry and stuff like that as well. I do silversmithing. And so I'm always looking for stamps and stuff for that.
I think you had posted, a turquoise bracelet the other day?
Yeah.
I actually watched, there's a new season on one of the TV shows. I stumbled on it the other day, but they're actually digging a bunch of turquoise out of the ground.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I wish I could get some of that. I can't remember the name of the show, but I know the one you're talking about. And some of that stuff is expensive. I've got some Kingman and some Mexican turquoise that I'm working with now. This thing's going to make a liar out of me. It did this print perfect.
It looks amazing. That's that LoneStar leatherette, baby. That's that premium leatherette. That's hilarious.
That is clean too, boy, I tell you.
Yeah, it looks good. It cuts out nice too.
Yeah, I'm actually running one extra round, simply because, like I said, I've had it to where you have that little small bit or whatever that doesn't cut right, and then you're trying to deal with the hair or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
I mean, that is bright. It's not charred or anything.
No. Now you got me wanting to buy a UV.
All right, so now I'll save those settings. I'm serious. I can bring it. I can bring this thing down for a day. you guys can kind of play with it and get a better idea of how it all works.
Well, once we get in the new shop, I may take you up on that offer because I tell you, we're stacked up right now. It is crazy. I'm actually doing the live in my living or in the dining room. So I'm at my dining room table right now. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it, but this is our adhesive cutter sitting on our dining room table, and then you got all of our rolls of adhesive and right behind that. So we're trying to make the best of the space we got right now until that shop is finished. It's gotten crazy.
So I moved. I'm not sure if you know anything that happened to me, but last year I broke my back. February the 6th of last year, I was in an accident where I broke my back, a burst fracture in the L2 vertebrae. And this was just after I'd really started going good with my hats and all my laser engraving. I was doing shows, and so the gentleman that I was working for, we kind of had a little bit of an issue because he didn't have workers' comp and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
It was on job accident. But anyway, it turned out to where I was also buying home from him as well. So I lost my job, I lost my home, and had to put my business on pause and all kinds of stuff all at once.
Yeah.
But I had wound up starting to try to get back, and I bought a 7-foot by 20-foot cargo trailer.
Okay.
And then we moved from a 2,400 square foot home to about a 1,000-foot square home. it don't fit.
Yeah, it definitely don't fit.
So I still got my trailer, and I'm getting it set back up. So I'm having to move all that stuff out of that trailer so that I'll be able to go to the show. And I've got my exhaust and all that in there. But so that's kind of, this bedroom is just about big enough to maybe have a king size bed in it. That'd be about it. So
no, I get it because I started in my older son's bedroom before he was born, and then I kind of slowly grew out of that. So I had stuff in the garage, and I do a little bit of woodworking too, and I like doing leather work as well. So I just got a little bit of everything, and so I got woodworking stuff out in the garage. A lot of our hats are in the garage. Our clicker press is out in the garage. A couple heat presses for where we press the adhesive on the back of Leatherettes out there as well. We got 3 pods in the driveway. Our carport's full of like shipping boxes and stuff like that. And then, in the backyard, we got 16 by 32. It's called a Graceland building. It's just a company that makes those portable type buildings. And it's just gotten to the point where it's just gotten, I was talking to my contractor the other day, and I said, "Hey, look, man, you got to get this thing on the road because we need to hire more people, and we do not have the space to hire anybody else." But
me and so I've got a partner that I work with as far as on the laser selling side, and his name is Mike Clark, and he goes by Mike Clark Engraver on a lot of the sites and stuff, but. He's had a engraving business, not necessarily just a laser business, but the engraving business itself for over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And, he is just a wealth of information when it comes to business and how, running the business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things we were talking about is, that help, that extra help. There comes a point in time not having help costs more in business than it does, running it by yourself.
It does. It does. I like to mow the yard. There's a lot of stuff I like to do, but I'm at the point right now where I can't get away from LoneStar to do that, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But uh, it sucks because I do like doing stuff on my own. I actually talked to a buddy of mine. He's actually my neighbor. I said he's got a yard man, and I said, hey, tell him to come over here and weed eat my yard because I don't feel like doing it. But I don't want to pass all the yard work off to him, but I do want to pass the weed eating off to him because I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like weed eating either. But now I'll tell you, Josh, I drove a truck for 20 years. And when I started doing it, I was still like a little bit of a young buck. And we ran what we called outlaw, 2 or 3 log books and running 1,000 miles a day and, and stuff like that. And I'm not going, I know somebody's going to comment about that if they're reading it or hear this, but, it is what it is. But you come to a point where you burn yourself out. Mm-hmm. And, you're trying to run a business. And, running a business isn't just about assembly. It isn't about, doing the manual part of it. There's so much of that back end, your taxes, your, all of that other stuff that comes with it. And if you let that stuff go, it will come up and bite you on the ass in the end of the year. And I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, it will. We have somebody that takes care of our taxes. He's kind of getting overwhelmed because there's just so many transactions. He was almost at the point where he wanted to quit on us, and I said, "Look, we'll hire another company. We'll have them come in and kind of, get everything situated to where they got all the numbers that you need, and you can just plug them in." And because he's a super nice guy, he's an older gentleman, and he's he's used to dealing with small, maybe Cindy's hair shop down the road or something, just something small. I mean, this is at this point we're a pretty decent size e-commerce business, and I couldn't imagine. I wouldn't want to do it. There ain't a chance ain't a chance at all that I'd want to do it. But I'd do it all day long.
Yeah, I don't like doing paperwork either. I mean, I could drive a truck all day long, and I was really good at it. But when it comes to that, to running the business, that's you can work in the business or you can run the business. This is what he told me. That's words. You can either run the business or you work in the business, but you can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, and well, and you're absolutely right. And that's what I told my wife a long time ago, because she's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?" Man, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm talking to customers. I'm talking to vendors. I'm trying to build relationships. I'm trying to, there's so much stuff that people don't see that goes on behind the scenes. I talked about this in my live last night on the Facebook page that. We can't even sit down and watch a TV show because Courtney's answering emails, because I tell you, she can't go to sleep. She'll get anxious if we have too many emails pending. And we may get 200 to 300 emails a day. We could probably hire somebody full time just to take care of emails. Only thing is, it's tough because there's so much. It's got to be somebody that knows. My wife helps, my sister-in-law helps, but it's a lot of stuff that's tied into the laser community and questions about settings and stuff like that. And they don't know that information, so they got to ask me, and then I got to chime in on it as well.
Yeah, that is. That was one of the things he actually talked about. He's looking at bringing in somebody. The problem is, when you're building trophies and you're doing all of the other stuff that goes with it, and somebody asks, well, how long is it going to take, or something, then they basically come to him and ask him that question anyway. So, it's like, okay, if I'm going to have to answer that question, I might as well, be doing it direct instead of, going through 2 or 3 different people. and it
Yeah.
can get, and that's what we was talking about. It's about, you're just going to have to start taking the time to train somebody, and that's a lot. That's an investment, a big investment.
It is very, very big, very big.
With our trucking company, we did the math on it, and to train a new driver, to bring a new driver in, even though they were experienced, they could have 10, 15 years driving experience, but to bring them in and train them for the paperwork and all the other stuff that goes along with it, it was estimated about $2,500 per employee just to bring them in for the training. And when you think about all the intricacies, but when you think about it, as far as on the laser systems, there are so many different laser systems for one thing. And, I could say, and the reality is I could sit here and tell somebody who has the exact same laser that I have, the exact settings I use, and it may not necessarily work.
You're absolutely right. Yep, because your 5-watt laser may be somebody's 4.9 watt laser.
Or their lenses may not be exactly the same, or they may not be in the exact same focus as I've got. The UV, that's the one thing about a UV laser that is one of the things that can be very aggravating to you, is they are very, very sensitive about focus.
Gotcha.
Even a millimeter out, you can actually see a difference, especially when you're doing glass work and stuff like that.
I could imagine.
But I'm going to say, I know we don't have a lot of any. I think we got right now 3 or 4 viewers in, but one of the things, I'm just trying to help some guys out, anybody that's going to shows. So some of the things that I've learned about going to the shows, one is a library. I mean, I've got 4 different portable discs that I have just a huge amount of different images on, different hat patches. And, I use my library a lot. What I'll do, I kind of got them where, like, for example, I'm going to this Canton show. I'm going to have a lot of moms and dads and assorted folk coming in. So I'm probably not going to have, let's see, the one, I've got this one, can't fix stupid, but I can adjust it. But I've got another one that is a little more vulgar. I'm not going to have those available or showing on my deal. Another thing that I have is, and I don't have it here set up, but I actually have another screen that I'll set up on the back of my trailer. And what it will do is it goes through a bunch of different images, and it will scroll those images on that screen, so somebody can walk up to the back of my trailer, and they're able to see me working, but they're able to see different stuff come up. And it's like a billboard.
And it kind of gives them an idea of maybe a patch that they would like to see. That's pretty cool. When is that Canton show?
It is the 27th to the 30th is when the show is. So it's a flea market. It's what it's called, First Monday, and so it's at the end of every month is when they do this, and it's I believe 700 acres. They have something like 50,000 people that go through that thing. It's huge. You can't walk through it in a single day.
That's crazy.
The first time that I went up there, it was kind of funny. I went up there, and like I said, I'm getting a little bit of kind of, I ain't gonna say I'm crippled, but I'm a little. I don't like walking around very far. But they've got those little carts, and I looked at them and asked how much they were, and they said they were $60 a day. I'm a tightwad. I was going $60. I can't do that. I'll just walk it.
Exactly.
I was beginning to realize that $60 wasn't that bad of a price after all.
It's funny you say that. So me and my wife and we took the two boys to an air show in Houston last year, and you know, it said on there you couldn't bring cards, this and that. And I'm like, you know, my wife, she doesn't like to break the rules or, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, we had a cart at the house, and dude, right as we got out of the car and started walking up there, I seen all these people in cars. We walked with the two boys. They were probably 8 months and you know, a little over a year at the time. And golly, man, I was in such a bad mood just because we walked I felt like 2 miles with them boys. They wore me out. So now we have a cart in our in our car if we ever need it. I'm trying to find where exactly is Canton. It's is it
Canton is it's on I-20 west of or east of Terrell.
okay, I got you.
Now I got to say, and I have seen some people starting to do them. I've always liked, and you talking about leather work. I love tooling. I can't do it very well, but I love it. And so I started looking at, you know, some of the tooling patterns and trying to transfer them into the laser work. One of the ideas that I've got, and I haven't tried it yet, but you know, they're getting to where they're using the GP and everything to make 3D images with, and know, the white layer as far as the depth and everything. And I think that would be a pretty neat idea of using the tooling, change it into a depth map.
Yeah.
And you know, Lightburn now has that where you can do the 3D slice.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever tried to use that yet?
I have not.
I don't have my coin here. I did a 3D coin where it had a golden retriever on it, and it uses the 3D slice. So what it does is you will literally have, say, for example, you can select 100 layers, and each layer it will slice that image up, and it will run each layer independently.
Oh, wow.
And as it goes down through that layer, it engraves down. So I think you could probably, you know, with the UV laser, the neat thing about it is it ablates material more than it burns material.
Gotcha.
So you could use sort of that same principle with the ablation, and you know, it'd probably be about as close to tooling as you're going to be able to get without actually doing it.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I had played around with the tooled leather on the that russet to gold, and man, it turned out really nice. I kind of gave it that tri-layer effect where the tooled part of it was actually engraved black. So I went through the gold layer to get to the black, and I'll tell you, man, it turned out sharp, really sharp.
I'm anxious to see some tri-layer leatherette.
We're working on it, and I talked to a manufacturer the other day, and I think the first one we're probably going to do with baseball season coming up, we're probably going to do a white to red to black, and just kind of give, you know, it'd be perfect for baseballs with the stitching, and then if you want to put somebody's name on that baseball, you could do it in black. I think that'd be a pretty good option for that, and we would do it in the glossy white, so it cleans up extremely well. I was just looking.
The other thing you might look into is the foils. I'm wondering. So I've got a friend of mine. He does a lot of collars. Okay, and I don't have an image that I can put up here, but when I would go to the dog competitions for the police dogs and stuff like that, the biting dogs. Those folks are really, really into all kinds of leather. It's another great source for hats. But I actually did more business engraving other people's stuff than I did my own.
Oh, wow.
Somebody would buy a collar down the road, down from me, and they would spend $60 for this special collar, bring it over to me, and spend another $30 for me to engrave it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And I put it on there. And no, it's not. But a buddy of mine actually came up with some collars that he was doing, where he would do cutouts, and underneath that cutout, he would have different colored foils. Like a red foil or a blue foil, something like that. And I think it would be interesting because, with a fiber laser or with the UV laser, the UV laser.
Yeah, that
Did
would
I
be
cut
pretty
out on
cool.
you? Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, you cut out there for a second.
Okay.
But so we're actually working.
But
we are actually working on a. What's that?
So what you could laser down to the first level of foil, and then cut.
Oh, you're cutting out again, bad.
Yeah, I know it. Told you, I'm out here in the boonies. They don't like me using a lot of
bandwidth. Yeah, that would, from what I heard, that would be a pretty cool option. Going back to the tooled leather thing, we are working on a tooled leather leatherette, which I think is going to be a pretty cool option. You there, Willie?
Okay. Yes, sir, I am. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of out here in the boonies, so they don't like me using a lot of bandwidth, I guess. Man, Josh, it's great having you on here, and I really appreciate the work that you put into your product.
Yes, sir.
That was something when somebody had mentioned about using, other leatherettes and sources and stuff. That was one of the things I said, is buying from you, your leatherettes, buying all your products, that they're laser safe. And, I don't think that a lot of people don't realize just how dangerous it can be. PVC makes chlorine gas and hydrochloric acid. When I was telling you about a buddy of mine that had one of those, somebody had brought him some material and said, "Hey, I want you to engrave, cut these out for me." And he had a $30,000 machine, and he cut it all out, and he had ventilation, exhaust, so he didn't notice any smell. Yeah. But literally a month later, you could open that machine up, and it looked like somebody had put in some kind of salt or something on every piece of metal it was. All the aluminum was coated up, steel was rusted, but that hydrochloric, it'll tear stuff up.
Well, that chlorine gas, it's so heavy that it just sets in the bottom of your laser and it can't be sucked out.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and that's terrible. I don't even want to chance it with that type stuff. But yeah, we've made sure that all of our stuff are lasers, all of our products are laser safe. There's, and some people, they may not even know that their products aren't laser safe, but they sell them anyway. They just don't, they're just looking at that quick buck versus making sure everybody's, safely taken care of. So, but we have all the products that we have and we sell. We try to sell the best quality and safe products to laser.
Well, I've got pretty big box coming from you. It should be here in the next couple of days. That's all the shipping notice on it. And it's got some of the newer stuff in it I haven't even got to try yet. So I'm anxious to try that, especially that carbon fiber. I love the look of carbon fiber. So that's going to be some pretty cool stuff.
That carbon fiber, when you place that order on the 5th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that one's already, that one already, oh, here we go. No, that's old.
I got a shipping notice on it. I don't know when.
Who knows? Man, this Shopify is so weird sometimes.
I know it.
It'll do some funky stuff. And it like signs into different emails and all kinds of stuff. So people say, hey, I'll ask them what their name is if they were asking about an order. And I'll be like, it's not under that name or it's not under that email. And they'll be like, oh, I haven't used that email in years, but it logs in through ShopPay and sends them a notification.
Yeah, but I've got it. I know it's head this way.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, because this is from 20. Yeah, this is from 2023. This is back in October.
So I ordered that material, and I've got a little bit left over. But when I ordered that material, I bought 200 hats.
Yeah.
And I went to my first show with that material. And that first show, no one had ever had, no one had ever brought a laser in and actually did stuff right there on site.
Yeah.
First show, I grossed $3,000 in 2 days.
That is awesome.
The second show, which was 3 months later, I grossed $5,000.
Wow.
Literally, so the bang, the way they had those bays set up, is at dawn, at daylight, is when the competition starts, and they'll run the whole set of books. So they may run until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah.
I was going from daylight to 3 in the morning, crawling up to the front of my trailer in my little bunk that I got, going to sleep for 2 hours, getting up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, getting everything set back up again, and doing it again. And I did that for 3 days, and I literally would not have time to grab a burger or something. I was constantly, I'd start to walk away. Somebody would walk up the door. Hey, I want you to make this hat for me. And that really taught me how to use Lightburn exclusively, not be jumping around other stuff. And so I got to where I could use the nodes, and that's really important. The tracing.
It is. Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. No, that is awesome, man. I am happy to hear that. Well, it sounds like you're probably going to do really good in Canton then with all that, all the foot traffic.
I'm hoping so. The Canton thing is going to be a new deal. Competitions, especially, and this is something I will say to anybody who's thinking about doing anything like this, go with what you know. First off, don't try something that you don't know anything about. I have 3 Yag Terriers, which are hunting dogs. So immediately I said, okay, I'm going to go to the people that I know, all these hunting guys. And, if nothing else, you're going to have fun.
Yes.
If everything else goes completely flip up, you're going to have fun. The other thing I would say is have an extra laptop. I don't know how many times I've either had a laptop go tits up on me in the wrong moment, or I forgot once I'd actually forgot a laptop and had to run to Walmart and buy a $200 laptop to go to the show with.
Oh wow. You just reminded me of something because we got a show up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on the 28th, 29th, and the 30th, and I got to get Sean to get me set up with a point of sale system so I can take payment right there on the spot.
Who do you use? Do you use Square or?
We're going to use Shopify POS system.
Okay, all right. I use Square, but that's simply because I don't have Shopify as far as my website or anything.
Yeah.
So that but they're really good rates, and then I also have an actual business checking account that I set up. Here this last year, I had done a lot of revamping. Before it was kind of an extra income, whatever, just something to play around with, but when I decided, okay, I'm going to turn this into a real business, it come to me real quick. You need to go ahead and do all your P's and Q's, get a business website, or get a business account, go do the right paperwork, because the banks won't even look at you if you don't have.
No, they won't. They won't. Yeah, and that's. I mean, I think we spend a lot of money a month for our Shopify account, just because we have so much tied into it with apps and a lot of the apps. When you download the app, you have to upgrade Shopify. So we spend a lot of money just on our Shopify. But with the spending the extra money on the Shopify account, you get cheaper transaction fees and you get better shipping rates and all that other stuff. So, I mean, it kind of pays off in the long run, but you have to get to that point where you're making that amount of money to justify, spending that extra. I think it goes from like $30 to $300 a month to like $3,000 a month for a Shopify. And if you're at that point, that $3,000, it seems like a lot, but if you're saving, say 0.5% on your transaction fees, you end up possibly making money if you're doing enough transactions.
Yeah, I started out with Shopify, and it was kind of fell on what you were saying. You get to that. It's either go or no go, because you're making a little bit of money, but you're not making enough money to make those upgrades.
Yeah.
And me personally, it was the way I came across it. I got tired of Shopify nickel and diming every single, every little app, every single, upgrade they wanted to hit me again. And I had enough web development experience that I said, I'm just going to build my home. And so that's what I did. But, for people that don't have that time, when you're running a business, you don't have time to run a website also.
No.
So it's all a balance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got the website, we got the app, we got the Facebook page, we got the Instagram, we got TikTok, and I do a lot of the Facebook stuff, but we got moderators. I mean, there's just so much involved in. People just think that we put a couple hundred sheets of acrylic on the website and sell out in a day, and we make it look easy, and it's not that easy. There's a lot of building relationships and building a brand that people trust, and there's a lot that goes into that, and it's not just us just selling out on a Friday night, because which we do have a good product, but we've built that product and we've built that trust into people. And you have other people trying to come on the market, and they're bad mouthing us and talking crap about our product or the way we do business, because they're trying to buy the same stuff or trying to sell the same stuff we are, and they're holding on to it. And it's not my fault. They just don't understand that we've built a family. And I don't even like to talk, like customers. I don't even like the word customers. At this point, if you buy from LoneStar Adhesive, you're family, and that's the way we're going to treat you. So,
Amen.
that's,
Well,
that's,
you
that's
know, you said that, and I'll tell you, when I first started going to these shows, going to these dog competitions, I was able to get through 4 of them before I'd gotten hurt,
yeah,
and then you know, I was down. Well, it didn't take long for somebody who had seen what I was doing in those competitions try to jump in and do the same thing, and they basically got run off.
yeah,
You know, other people said, "Hey, no, we already got who we want to buy from."
yeah,
And the fact is, you know, with Facebook, with all of these other connections out here, you can do right 99,
yeah,
but you mess up once and your name
yeah.
is mud.
I know. You got to be very careful with what you say and who you say it to, or anything. And everything can be screenshotted and sent, posted on the web and Facebook and everything else. And and I get screenshots from customers that'll say, hey, this company's talking crap about you. And I had to call a guy today. He owns a company and he sells stuff similar to ours. And I called him today. I said, look, man, I first thing I said, my name's Josh LoneStar. He said, and I asked him who he was and to make sure it was the right person. I said, did I do anything? Have I ever done anything wrong to you for you to dislike me? And he said, no, what are you talking about? I said, well, you made a post in your group that was sent to me from a customer, and it gave the impression that I'm a liar, and I'm not a liar, and I've been very, very straightforward, very open, very honest with everything about the business and all that other stuff. I don't try to hide anything. But what he was saying is that the premium leatherette that we've been able to produce with the relationship that we built with our manufacturer was all a lie, and that anybody can go over to China or wherever and get premium leatherette, and it's not the case. But he was calling me a liar because he said that I was just using that name to try to sell product, when in fact we had actually created a better product, and we had to protect it by naming it something different. And it rubbed me the wrong way, because I can't stand a liar and I can't stand a thief. And if somebody calls me one of those, we're gonna have trouble.
I don't blame you. And I'm going to say to the other guys, people too, you know, I've been in businesses, I've seen competitions, and it never goes good when you start throwing mud around, you know.
It doesn't.
And
It doesn't.
and you know, anybody's welcome to try to make money. Anybody's welcome to go to a dog show and
Yeah.
and sit right next to me and make hats if they want to.
Yeah.
You know, more power to them.
Yeah.
It's the better man work wins,
Yeah.
better product wins, or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. But to start throwing mud back and forth, all's going to happen is both people walk away with mud in their face. So, you know, I don't like that kind of stuff. And I don't like you know, was talking about thieves.
Yeah.
I've done some artwork and stuff, you know, that was mine that I put a lot of time in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, posted it on a deal saying, hey, check this out. And it wasn't long that I saw some of it on Etsy, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, I got a hold of some people and said, hey, look, you're going to take that down, because I know where that comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but you know, now there's images out there that are floating around that are all over the place. Some of the stuff has just obviously been around forever, and you know, nobody really owns it. But
Yeah.
you know, don't steal other people's artwork. Don't throw mud around, because it's just a mess.
And that's the thing with us. I mean, I feel like our competitors or so-called competitors, I feel like they're on our website every day looking at the new products we roll out, so they can figure out what products they're going to roll out. And I'm just not like that. I don't care what those other companies are doing. I listen to the people in the group and the concerns that they have, and I want to cater to them and to their needs. I'm not trying to do something cool because somebody else is doing it. I tell you, man, we're trying to disrupt the market, and with what we're doing, and by creating better products and doing this, I'm not here to copycat anybody. We're an original, and we're gonna continue to be an original. I never understood it, never did.
Well, when you can take leatherette and take your material and put it on a hat and tear the hat up trying to take it off, there ain't no product out there like that. So
Yeah.
you're definitely on. I mean that you're ahead of everybody in the game. But
well, I don't know. Stalls actually a guy Josh Ellsworth from Stalls gave me he shot me a Facebook message the other day, and he was talking about some wanting to head off a concern that their team had. So I'm curious to see what that entails. But I just don't know why they didn't. Why didn't they think about making a product that better suits the needs of their customers? And with that 112 lower platen, that solves so many issues. And I think they're upset about that. I think they're upset that I told people that it works for the IQ 360. But legally there's nothing they can do about it. It's an aftermarket product that works on their machine, and there's no infringement. You can't be prosecuted for infringement for something like that.
It's just being smart. It's business smart. You're doing everything you can to make the business work. And like I said,
all it is solving simple issues. In my opinion, that's all it comes down to, is solving somebody's issue. If I can solve one person issue a day, I'm good with that. I want somebody to call me with an issue, and I want to be able to on the spot get them dialed in. That makes my day.
So just one real fast question.
Yes.
When it comes to the heat presses and stuff, I've actually thought about getting the one where it has both heat from the top and bottom. Right now I've got that little Vever, but it's just a top heated plat. Now, when you're doing the acrylics and stuff like that, is it better to have that bottom heat?
Oh, you want both. You want both of them. Yeah, but both top and, man, I tell you, when you got that bottom heat coming through, because essentially you're with the top heat, that top heat's got to go through the acrylic to activate the adhesive. Man, with that bottom heat, it's directly on that adhesive, and you are good to go.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I've been thinking about doing it too, is because, like I said, I've got a lot of customers who wants that real thick leather. They don't, I most of the time I use a 5-ounce leather because it lays easy and all of that. I don't have to worry about it. But I've got guys who like the cattle tags, ear tags.
Oh yeah,
and they want that thick leather. They want to be able to see that line on the end of it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's in the same manner. You're trying to push all of that heat through the top of that leather to the back to get it activated.
Yeah.
And I have run a batch of hats, and as I run them, I set them off to the side. But I've got to where before I move them over to give to a customer, I start doing a tear test on every one on the corners.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, because I've had it to where I'll start to pull it and realize I didn't have that hot enough or whatever. But that is definitely my next investment, to get one with a dual heat plat.
So, you'll wonder to yourself why you didn't do it sooner.
Well, I am going to let you get off of here, and I appreciate your time, Josh. And
yes, sir.
Like I said, this is going to be on YouTube, and other people can watch it afterwards. And guys, if you're looking to get into the hat business, Josh over at LoneStar Adhesive is definitely the one to talk to. And I do truly appreciate you folks' time. God bless.
Yes, sir.
You have a good night.
Hey, you as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Night, everybody.